Boy, oh boy, it's been a super long time. Let me just say that right now. It's been a super long time since I've done a podcast. Not just for Fairy Tale, but just in general. I can't even remember the last time I did one of these. But, hey guys, what's going on? Lucky Cheese 7 is back again to give you guys a podcast on Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest. Of course, like every other podcast, y'all know it can't just be me by myself. I mean, I could do it. Not gonna say that I can, but it wouldn't be much fun, obviously. So I had to rope in someone from the Manga Circle gang. And who better yet than the Lord of all curses himself, Mr. BlueStarSaber.
I put a curse on you, mate.
Yeah. What are you, Zerif now?
Might as well be. Hello, everyone. BlueStarSaber here once again to do another Fairy Tale podcast. Sorry if this one starts out late. I end up having some delays due to what I was doing beforehand took much longer than expected.
You know, something in life always kind of gets a person caught up in something, and sometimes you're gonna miss like the time of, and sometimes you're just gonna be like, okay, maybe I'll try to get there on time, but as long as you make it, that's what matters at the end of the day, But here's the deal. Last time we did a podcast on Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, we didn't exactly wrap up with the Great Labyrinth arc. Because I know the title of this podcast says the Gold Owl arc, which was like the last recent arc that just ended. But from what I remember doing that last podcast with Blue, we covered up until when God Serena showed up.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a surprise for everyone because, well, he was supposed to be dead.
Yeah. Which, we do get answers to that. We do. But that's something we kind of find out here in this, the arc we're going to talk about. But just to give my thoughts on the wrap-up of the Great Labyrinth arc, I thought it was actually pretty good. Not going to say it was perfect, but Gajil kind of got his ass kicked. That was one.
Yeah.
All the important members of Fairy Tale, destroying the stones to weaken Dogramag, and then you had something really funny between Gajil and Levy switching places.
Oh, not as funny as Juvia and Gray.
Yeah. Well, not really funny, but there was like that sense of tension when they swapped, because you're like thinking, oh shoot, because Levy's pregnant. And if they swap places, especially with Gajil...
Well, it's more if they swap bodies.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was kind of thinking like, that's a little troublesome. The entire bit with Natsu and Suzaku fighting off against Dogramag, which I thought that worked out pretty well.
I thought it was a little rushed, to be honest.
It did go by a little too quickly. I do agree with you on that. Maybe, in my opinion, that should have been like a couple extra chapters, just a couple. But then you had the big takeaway with. See, this part I thought was really, really good. The Elfsyria and Celine talk about, the differences between the dragons and the humans. Like how, okay, to put it in the same terms as Attack on Titan, there's really no right side in like viewpoint. It's all about like a matter of perspective. Of like, people want to say humans are good, dragons are evil, but then you get the flip side of it too. It's like, well, no, it's not 100% true, and we've kind of known that, given that we've had Igneel, Grandini, Metallicania, Weisslogia, Skiadrum. So it's not to say that like we haven't had good dragons in the series, but you do get that sense of like ideology difference between Alceria and Selene.
No, arguably, I probably would have preferred it that ideological talk was not in the middle of a bath scene, to be honest.
That was kind of ironic. I was like thinking, I'm like, of all scenes to talk about this, y'all talk about this here.
It's like, I don't know, it's just that, I mean, granted, yes, there was a funny moment when Natsu ended up teleporting to the other bathroom and then got beaten up by the girls, particularly in an extra chapter, which, Alpha Saria, which he was about to take a peek until he sensed, Celine's, angry presence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for the record, Selene was in her human form, which makes me beg the question. So those well, granted, I don't really, perhaps it's an inappropriate question, but if someone labels Selene as their waifu, would that make them a furry?
I was thinking that too. Because, I mean, look, don't get me wrong, she's good looking. But at the same time, I'm like thinking to myself, like, what does that classify somebody as?
I mean, she's originally a dragon, but she has a human form. So would that make them So would that mean like fury kind of thing, or would that just be like the grey area of okay-ish? I'm not sure. I know. Sometimes Hiro Mashima with his fan service makes me question. The morality sometimes.
I would go with the grey approach. It's no, not that grey approach.
But
there's a complex area to it. Let's just say like that.
Let's just take that jokey little, perhaps maybe inappropriate conversation aside. But yes, the conversation with humans and dragons was interesting, though. Like I said, I probably preferred if 2/3 of it weren't done in the bath scene.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, this kind of reminds me of the talk that happened at the end of the Sun Village arc, although, I'll still say this. I feel like the conversation in the Sun Village arc was a lot worse in terms of, like, fan service representation.
Oh, yeah. I remember. You got, like, everyone ranting. It's like, fan service again?
I think I remember telling you the week that chapter came out, I'm like, look, I know here, like, fan service in Fairy Tail doesn't usually bother me. I'm usually, like, just like, you know, whatever. But that's the one chapter, even to this day, where I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Which does make me wonder, because we know that Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest anime is being announced. Are they really going to have that conversation in the bath? Because I do know in the anime, that scene, that infamous scene in the Sun Village, that chapter in the Sun Village, they had it when having a barbecue instead or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I remember getting to that part in the anime, and I was like, I wonder how they're going to tackle that. And yeah, they changed it, which I like that. I mean,
granted, they eventually brought it back for an OVA, but
yeah,
but that's an OVA.
I mean, okay, they did partially adapt that chapter. I'm not going to say that they didn't, but it wasn't as egregious, I would say, compared to what it was in the manga. But no, like this bad scene in particular is like okay, it's not that bad.
There's at least one funny scene with Natsu being beaten up from all the Diablos girls for sneaking into the girls one. No, granted. He really has.
It was funny how he just like popped up like on top of Lucy. I was like, really? I was like, of all times, Natsu. Big now.
I mean, face it, Lucy's just gets unfortunate. Gets the unfortunate luck of being bumped into Natsu.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that's, of course, not bothered by it is Erza, but that's because she seems to have a very kind of weird close kinship when it comes to like the boys of like Team Natsu.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she admitted that, and so it's like, hey, what's the shame in that? Like, Natsu, Gray, and I used to base together when we were kids. I'm like, yeah, maybe as kids it's one thing.
But
Adults is a very different matter.
yeah, particularly because that is, let's see, because your innocence is no longer in your mind when you're doing that.
That's a very interesting thing about her as a character. Now I think of that is that, like, yeah, she can be like super strong in terms of fights, but when you look at her personality,
she lacks quite a fair share of social awareness,
right? Which is an interesting contrast.
One thing I'll probably say in the conversation, I do like how I've ended with like Savannah just Ritzy deeply apologizing, saying he still can't really forget all his comrades that died, but
I do like that aspect too.
But yeah, no, I do also found how funny that Celine was like so casual with her apology and all that, and she didn't quite understand if she did it right or wrong.
I know. I like how she was looking at Misaki, and she was like, "Did I do something wrong?"
Yeah. The interestingly thing, the whole thing with her ended up resolving with her, of course. Revealed that the reason why the dragon guards don't fight each other is that if they get a very serious wound, they would be unable to fight again or fight like they used to without because the next wound could be very fatal.
Yeah.
So she's practically powerless now, so she's going to live her life like a human, which was her endgame goal, as she just concluded that the dragons were the age of the dragons was over.
Right. It's very similar to Mercphobia. Back to what we got in the Water Dragon arc.
Uh-huh. So yeah.
Which I'm fine with that, actually.
So yeah. So arguably at this point you have two Betsy dragons, two good, two bad. The two bad ones dead, the two good ones living.
Yeah, so there's like an equal balance between the two of them.
Though granted, the ratio is about to become more on the bad side after this.
Oh yeah, especially after this arc. But here's the big one I want to talk about with you, too. How did you feel about the Celine and Irene conversation? Because from what I remember, when that chapter came out, like, you had like a mixed a split between the fan base as to whether or not it was satisfying or there was a missed opportunity in having Irene having that final moment with Erza.
I don't know. I kind of figured she was going to stay long term, to be honest.
That's what I thought too.
I kind of feel like she might have been cut short.
Like, I liked the moment. I'm not going to say that it was bad, but I did kind of think maybe, like, if this was like the end, like the final end of 100-Year Quest, then yeah.
Part of me was thinking that she was trying to get into herself a new body. She wasn't trying to pass on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
That was. I thought that was her goal. I mean, it's been a while since I've read the beginning of 100-Year Quest, but that's kind of what I generally remembered.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
I don't know. Part of me wonders if Hiro Mashima just decided that, you know what, I'm going to drop this plot line or something. I
know the volume of that came here a while ago. I wonder if he mentioned something in like the afterwards section, because I know he has a pretty good track record of doing that. Just mentioning stuff. I mean, I still remember when that whole revelation came about Irene being Erza's mom. He didn't mention how he didn't have that part of the story planned 100%, but he had the whole aspect of Irene being the mother of dragons being part of the whole backstory for her. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a similar situation here with this.
Uh-huh. But yeah, but honestly, I figured just like at this point you had like about, let's see, was it 90 or so? About over 100 or so-ish chapters. You'd think Hiro would have had something planned out, but more long-term then by now.
Yeah. Since
this was like one of your earlier plot lines.
Mm-hmm.
Or subplots, really.
Yeah. I mean,
it seemed like Irene was going to be playing the bad angel to Wendy's more conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Given the fact that she tried to get her to kill like that, let's see, bug-like dragon eater. If I was going to say about the silk dragon eater,
I will say this: I do like that Irene, in the sense, kind of gets her closure with Wendy, since that was like one character that she connection with throughout.
Yeah. I suppose the one good thing about it is that apparently Wendy is now a strong enchanter magic wizard.
Yeah,
that she doesn't really need Irene anymore.
No, that is
which
true.
is arguably probably given the fact that that plays a vital role later down in this arc we're discussing. Like, makes me wonder if like Hero decide that okay, I'm going to make this more of Wendy's thing. I don't really need Irene anymore. I think maybe this is what he was. I'm not sure if he planned the Golden Dragon God long term, but perhaps he figured that Irene would just get in the way of this arc.
Wouldn't surprise me, actually, if that's what was part of the plan.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't tell if she's reincarnated as the daughter of Erza Nightwalker and Mitsugun Jellal.
I think that's what it is, but who knows?
It's a bit strange because it's like Erza's mother has reincarnated into the baby of her let's see, Eldos counterpart.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny when you put it that way.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things that kind of makes you think, and particularly when let's see, there's an aspect of Zerf and Mathis' relationship that best not to be brought up on this podcast.
Oh, I know exactly what you're referring to. Full well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. The more you think about it, the more it's the weirder, maybe a strange, maybe even creepy gets.
You're gonna just okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting conversation, particularly because Celine was talking to, I believe, Suzaku against Dromaga. It's one to see, because one thing I forgot to mention in that bit of the fight there is that even though he was defeated, he's left something behind for Ignia to do whatever their plan was. That fact. Interesting, he was about to try and kill Natsu, despite the fact he was told, hands off the kid.
Right?
Which does make me wonder how Ignia would have reacted to that.
Oh, I'm sure he would have been pissed. He'd be like, sorry, no, deal's off now.
Whether or not he would kill him, I'm not sure. Because those two seem to be like the only ones that they would probably consider each other as friends.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I suppose back to let's see, Celine talking with Elsfar. Let's see, Celine talking with Irene. There's also that bit with Shizaku, I guess, as well, talking about how her son. Let's see, didn't I eat your son or something? Granted, she doesn't blame him for that, since it was like the previous Diablos master that did that.
Right.
It's still a bit anticlimactic that he was kind of built up and then only to be killed just quickly, I will admit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he went out when it was like the very end of the Moon Dragon arc, if I remember correctly.
Well, end of the Moon Dragon, beginning of the Labyrinth for Earth Dragon arc, if you will.
That one.
But yeah, it seemed a bit. It seemed like we were rushed. It seemed a bit anticlimactic because he was kind of built up, unless, of course, Hero's going to somehow bring him back as a reanimated corpse or something.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it, let me see. So the Moon Dragon God arc ended at chapter 90. So the Labyrinth arc lasts for 32 chapters in total. So it's not particularly the longest arc in the series. That still goes to Moon Dragon arc. I think, right?
But besides that, I do like how she doesn't blame him for that, and even talks about how he kind of reminds her of her son. And even talks about his son was more like a warrior type, so death, I guess, could have been expected for him.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a bit funny when he tricks her into saying, Irene's naked, so you might want to look away.
That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Which the one time when she appears as a ghost, she's not actually naked.
Mm-hmm. That is saying something, all right.
But yeah, but I guess that's just hero for you. I mean, granted, to be honest,
Even though he's not the one behind the artwork.
Oh yeah, but he probably asked to wrote it that way.
Yeah, we don't really credit the artist who does this. It's
yeah,
I think it's Ueda, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I guess he's just so good at being accurate to heroes' work, you just kind of forget it.
Yeah. Like he's really. If you look at early 100-Year Quest and look at how the artwork is now, like it looks radically similar now to the fairy tale.
Oh yeah, it really does. But arguably, I could prefer some of the less fan service, especially because I don't really want to see that with Erza's mother.
I mean, I'll still say this. The fan service we've been getting in 100-Year Quest versus, like, the original fairy tale, this might just be me. I don't think it's been as bad.
True, except for maybe a few moments where it looks like it's going too far. But unfortunately, it seems Lucy will ever be Hero's punching bag for inappropriate fan service moments.
I know. I could only imagine what Ellie and Rebecca are thinking. They're like, oh my god. It's like, that girl's never going to catch a break.
Yeah. But to be fair, Rebecca's sometimes in a similar case.
She does.
The only one that Hero seems to put restraint on is Ellie.
You're right.
Granted, I guess he's also shown some restraint with the Dead Rock characters so far. But I'm just wondering, it's because they're like first-year high schools.
It's a good question.
At least I assume that that's what they are, because I know that we know Hien is 16 from like one of the last few chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means that everyone that tries the Dead Rock Death Pit exam kind of thing has to be 16 or not, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't exactly know what the age rule is for the school of Dead Rock. Doesn't also help that you got non-humanoid monsters as some of the students.
Yeah, you got that too. Essentially, with what Irene does is she not only heals the wound that Celine has, but in a sense, kind of like restores like her life energy. Because before it was like Celine wasn't really going to have that much time left, so Irene kind of had the trade-off in this case.
But yeah, she gets to live like Magellan, I think was it?
Yeah.
So, but look, granted, she probably wouldn't. Look, granted, I think the bit about where she probably can't really fight the other dragon guards is still in effect because she's now technically being sealed.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So yeah, it does make me wonder if you're going to get a scene with like Selena and Magellan down the line.
That's a possibility. Can't say for sure that it's out of the question. So I'll tip the scales on like 70%, 30%. 70% chance you're gonna get it, 30% chance you won't get it. Especially given with where we're at now with the story, but we'll get there when we do. Erza's reflection on Irene with Wendy. How'd you feel about that?
Well, it looks like she still technically considers Mavis to be, let's see, her actual one and only parent.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's to be fair, because she never really knew her mother in life except for like that final battle against her.
Yeah.
So it's like that. And granted, it's interesting that, because this would probably be what a child would have about their parent if they found out that there was some sort of dragon monster that was trying to destroy their family, if you will, or their foster family. That they're a monster, and I haven't really fully forgiven them, but does remember that one moment where, when she just decided to she just sacrificed herself just to let Erza live, so she's, well, technically just kill herself to prevent herself from trying to harm Erza, really, but either way, sort of sacrificing herself for her own child in a sense, that So there was she understands that there's some love there. She at least won't forget her and thinks that she's somewhere in her heart. One thing I will find at the end of these chapters is that now Diablos is no longer enemies of Fairy Tail, and instead they're going to try and help them with looking for whatever information they can, particularly on what's going to happen in this next arc.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I kind of like is that these few chapters shown that Luxus has now started a sort of Natsu Grey rivalry with his Diablos opponent, who had who originally eaten the Thunder Dragon. He got the Lakma too and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He has now he's got a similar rivalry thing to Natsu and Grey have.
Right.
So much that Natsu tells them to calm down, which shocks everyone until Natsu says, "Hey, let me in on the fighting as well."
Yeah, no, Lucy was thrown off. She's like, since when does he want to stop a fight?
It's Natsu, you had a moment to mature and grow up. To impress Lucy, only to blow it.
Right?
In many ways, it reminds me of the beginning of part 2, where Naruto and Sakura unite, and Sakura's just getting so impressed in how tall and mature Naruto was until he blew it.
Although in this case, Lucy was kind of just that's who I thought he was. There's the Natsu now.
Yeah. Natsu got off lucky, Natsu. Because if it was the other way around, you probably would have been pummeled.
I think it also helps that Lucy's been around Natsu so much. She's like, okay, I'm fine with that.
The bit where we then, after all that stuff has been settled with Elvis and Selena and Elvis, Erza with Irene, and Luxus with his dragon rival.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally got onto the subject of our next part of the arc. You ready to talk about it now?
Yeah, with Viernes. Well, first there's this. So they described Viernes as a dragon that has no concept behind it, and as soon as that was revealed, I had to think how do you stop that? A dragon with no concept, huh? And then they name dropped Athena, the actual White Wizard.
Yeah. So it's let's see. So we're finally getting that sort of topic settled since we thought this one one character Toka was the White Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, she played pretty much the first antagonist, the first half of the antagonist of the
the first two
dragon arc.
Yeah, the first 2 arcs of the story.
Yeah, let's see, being a sort of background one in the first one, and then being sort of main one in the first half of the second arc.
Mm-hmm.
Causing the sort of second Fairy Tail civil war.
Yeah, you. It was one of those things where you thought she was the White Wizard, and then you come to find that no, she was under Celine's influence.
Yeah,
leading her to believe that.
Yeah, so but we had a feeling that the White Wizard is a character that existed, so we're gonna finally find out who she is.
And the White Wizard isn't just a concept that they just dropped it under your quest. That was, and I brought this up in the last podcast we did too, but that was mentioned as far back as the final arc of Fairy Tail. Irene's the one that brought it up of there being a white mage similar to the ones of Zeref the Black Wizard. So it wasn't a big deal. It was just one of those myth legends, if you will. So I thought it was kind of cool that we're seeing that now with this.
And apparently we learned that Selene was actually looking for Athena in order to take down the other dragon gods. But granted, all of them from the other worlds have been destroyed, minus this one. So it arguably could be a testament to her power. But yeah. But besides the Diablos going off to search, let's see. We also learned that many of them are not actually too bothered by their former master dying, since apparently he caused all kinds of harassment.
That's an interesting bit of information we didn't know about. I was like, huh. Okay.
It's wow, your heroes really wanted to make this guy a scumbag.
I mean, look, people thought Ivan was bad. Ivan being Lux's dad. They thought he was an asshole. No, this guy takes the cream of the crop in that department.
Oh, blimey. But it seems like, let's see, the world of Fairy Tale does not have, like,
No,
justice system for that kind of thing.
I was gonna say, or like the original guild master of Sabertooth. That guy was he was an asshole too.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't seem like there's a sort of like a rule. There doesn't seem to be some sort of like, let's see, I don't know, either that or whatever magic governments you have for each continent, be it the Magic Council, whatever, seem to have some lack of laws for those kind of like harassments.
For real.
It's like, oh blimey. In some ways, but then again, I guess here I didn't really dive in too much to the politics of the world building of Fairy Tale, to be honest.
I mean, it's like the only like good guilds you had with like good guild masters were Fairy Tale, Blue. Okay, well, Ichi is just weird, but yeah, you had Blue Pegasus. Who was the other one?
Cerberus one?
Yes, okay, Cerberus. Yeah, the Cerberus one too.
Yeah. Granted, I will admit, perhaps Markovo needs to learn to do some boundaries as well.
There's that.
But yeah, but besides that, let's see. You pretty much have a bit of a break for like the let's see, where you have Selene and Esfar parting wells until they meet again, which probably will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the others have but Team Natsu has no idea to find Viernes, so they have a little go back to Fairy Tale Guild, pretty much, having a bit of a catch up with everyone, which also leads to some more, I guess, tender moments between Natsu and Gray.
Yeah.
I mean, Gray and Juvia. Sorry, that's what I meant. Gray and Juvia. Apparently, everyone thinks Wendy's gotten a little taller, though, to be honest, I cannot tell.
I mean, given what she did in the last arc, she did kind of grow a little bit.
Well, I guess mentally.
Definitely matured.
No, to be honest, Wendy still pretty much looks the same age. He was always drawn her to me. But I guess that's just me not noticing. I mean, granted, let's see, I can't recall, but I can't recall, there was a scene, let's see, pre this arc, where, you had someone, the artist one, draw what Wendy would look like as an adult, right?
Yeah.
And she was not happy about certain parts of the drawing.
But I mean, it did look similar to when she had that power-up form in the Labyrinth arc, so yeah. I was like, oh, okay, not too far off.
But yeah, other than that, you just have Luxus with his Thunder Tribe, Gadger and Levy, and Natsu just causing all kinds of noise.
Oh, Natsu.
And yeah, see, and this is where we also learn that, as I wanted to ask the Master about the books and library for Fairy Tale, but he pretty much reveals that due to Fairy Tale's constant fighting amongst each other, pretty much almost all the books got destroyed.
That honestly doesn't surprise me.
There's also the fact that the guild has been blown up a few times.
More than a few.
In many ways, in hindsight, it feels like Fairy Tale probably, in the future, if they do have books on like wizards, magic, and other important stuff, it'll be an ideal to put it in a separate location from the guild.
Right.
It's like, okay, to prevent any of our stuff from getting important relics and artifacts from being destroyed, these stuff will be moved to this location.
I mean, like, look, I know people like to joke about Konoha being destroyed in Naruto and make it like a big ordeal, but at least with Fairy Tail, I'll give it this. The Fairy Tail Guild getting destroyed is more of like a gag than anything. That's the biggest difference there.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a gag, but to be fair, having an entire village destroyed multiple times would be a bit of a problem.
Right?
And frankly, the more times it's destroyed, the less of an impact it will have.
I mean, Boruto, Chapter 1, not even Chapter 1, Page 1. It's like, hey, look, we're destroyed again. I'm like, cool. I've seen that.
Yeah, this is probably why the only time it should have been destroyed was the Pain arc. And that's the only time it works, and arguably one of the reasons why you never really had the Fourth Great Ninja War back at Kahona. It's because we've already seen a battle happen there.
Although, having the war being, in separate locations would have benefited in the long run.
Yeah. Arguably, yeah, it should have been more separate and longer locations. But it was probably a smart thing not to have it in Kahona again after the pain arc. So yeah. Besides that, you have Lucy looking back, thinking pretty much the last moment she had with Natsu back at her rent, only to find that Sabertooth has been renting her place, if you will.
That, honestly, that cracked me up. As soon as they popped up, I'm like, out of all people, they showed up.
Yeah. And let's see, Marvako reveals that, okay, let's see, it's best to talk to Sabertooth if you want to get some information on the other continent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, granted, as far as I can tell, Gadgel and Luxus have kept their mouths shut about the Dragon Quest, the 100-year quest. The others don't know, but they needed to get Sony that information. And it seems like, let's see, Sabertooth is back, which, okay, I can see this is arguably the main reason why they've had a break back here, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have Sabertooth as the supporting characters in the next arc. I mean, in the sort of Gold Owl arc.
It does give them some spotlight, which I did appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, so far we've mostly had, let's see, you had the Fairy Tale Guild for the most part as, let's see, either, well, Gadgel, Juvia, and Levy mainly being the, let's see, and Jellal being sort of like in the side quest of the first arc.
Yeah.
And then you had pretty much the Team Natsu versus rest of Fairy Tale minus Guild Arts as the first half of the second arc. And then coming out to support them in the second half. And then, of course, you had, well, you didn't have any of the Fairy Tale members, but you did have the Eldos lot.
Yeah, you had the Eldos characters. Ferris, by that point, took his real name.
Yeah.
She was like the assist in that part of the arc too.
Yeah, and then of course you had Gajo and Luxus back for like the last arc, let's see, the Labyrinth one, or let's see, Earth Dragon.
Yeah, so that's the one upside I think I will give 100-year quest so far is that we've been alternating the characters, right? Okay, and what I mean by alternating, it's more or less like the support.
Yeah, it's like let's see, Gajo and Juvia playing rather significant roles in like the in like the first few arcs, really.
Yeah,
and then the eldest one playing a little bit in a role in the second. Jellal being a bit more in the background of some of them as well. And now you had like the two dragon. You have all the dragon slayers in the Fairy Tale playing a role in the last arc, and now you have like Sabertooth, which is arguably the characters. It's depending on who you're asking, either the most popular outside of Fairy Tale Guild wizards or the most hated.
I'll say this: I think they've gotten better, as the series progressed. In my opinion.
Yeah. Now I'm pretty certain those who hate Fairy Tale will still forever hate Sting.
I think it's just the whole, first impression's always a last impression deal.
Yeah.
Well, they always keep that in mind.
At that moment, let's see, with Sting will forever be arguably the most controversial scene in Fairy Tale. Or at least top 5.
I don't know. Aaron's whole breakdown in 139, I think, tops that.
I'm talking about Fairy Tale.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, if we're talking about in shonen history, I'm like, I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Maybe we need to do a podcast of separate mangas top 10 worst moments.
Yeah, I mean, look, does what Sting did top whatever Naruto did in the 5 Kage Summit? I mean, sheesh, can't even answer that.
Well, we'll get to that, but yeah, Sting was let's see, but that was arguably for many people the worst moment in Fairy Tale, which led many people to drop Fairy Tale.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was also a case of the Sabertooth members being hyped up as one of the strongest guilds at the time.
Oh yeah, and they're still technically probably the second strongest.
They are.
But yeah, but we're having them come here again, and Let's see. Team Natsu needs the book, but they have but they want to do a sort of contest first. Though,
I'll be real. The contest they had was pretty fun.
Yeah, but I do like how Lucy's just reacting to why are you guys in my room? Winners, they kind of went to see Jellal and them, but they didn't have a place to stay, so they got rented the room. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for Lucy, her privacy is once again disrupted. Which once again we got more questions about the undergarments that Lucy wears. Apparently a bit.
That was from Minerva, right? I think Minerva's the one that.
Yeah. Well, she is the Erza of that group, and Erza was the one that mostly commented on last time. Apparently, you got a letter so that speaking of Erza, she had apparently a very disturbing letter she was going to give to Sabertooth. And apparently she cannot write well.
I think we've established that already.
Yeah.
I think they're remembering from last time when Erza sent the letter, it's like chicken scratch writing. Again, people, take this into consideration. One of the strongest characters in Fairy Tail, from a battle sense, and you contrast that with who the character actually is, especially when she's writing. You got weaknesses there.
Oh yeah, but yeah, perhaps a bit too good at fighting.
Honestly, that's actually kind of hilarious when you think about it. People complain how she can do anything. I'm like, no, fighting wise, sure. As an actual character,
and as an actual ordinary person, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, she's a bit too because I'm Batman, but yeah. But other than that, but yeah. But we do get a funny bit where Natsu has no idea what a library is. It's like he can't do math and he doesn't know what a library is. Oh, and there was also the funny moment earlier where he said, "Has Levi laid an egg yet?"
Oh my god!
Yeah, someone really needs to tell him about the birds and the bees.
That makes me worried about his relationship with Lucy if it ever gets to that point. I mean, guys, take this into consideration. Haru and Ellie from Rave Master are canon. Shiki and Rebecca at this point, you can argue they're canon at this point, especially with the series almost ending. I'ma just say this. We know Natsu and Lucy are gonna be canon, but if it comes to the whole concept of having kids, I'm worried about their dynamic.
Well, we do know that, let's see, in the parallel universe, they do already have a daughter.
Well, yeah. But I'm talking about this Natsu.
Yeah. Well, luckily, probably will never have Hero actually showing what it is. But yeah, but we could probably we'll probably get some, but we might get some hints of the idea. You know how, let's see, he's not being subtle, this arc.
No.
Especially with that movie, those celeb counterparts. No,
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Especially with Lucy thinking that version of Natsu was about to treat her version rather poorly, only to find out what they were actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't look at Natsu for a while. But yeah, but anyway, the sort of contest, it's 5 matches, and it's not a fighting one, it's just a bunch of silly contests, really, which you quite liked. I did like how you got Frosh versus Happy, and it's a matter of cuteness, but Frosh just ended up winning by a landslide.
I could not believe that. I was like, really? Frosh won that one? And Happy has wings.
I don't know. I guess the frog costume just killed it.
To be fair, Frosh has always had that on, so
yeah.
I get my.
So yeah, that's arguably what made it adorable. And heck, I think even Gray probably would have voted for Frosh because he always is a bit of a thing for Frosh.
I mean, we've established that since the Avatar arc, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much so that Rogue got freaked out. He's like, "Oh no, he's gonna steal my cat."
It's like, yeah, now he wants one for himself. Which for a second I thought Toka was going to be it, but that's not seems to be the case. The other one is a shadow tap between Gray and Rogue, and let's see, Gray just ends up using his one weakness. It seems that even as a shadow, even as a fake shadow approach, it's the rogue cannot harm him. I mean, let's see. So, yeah, it's just that one little thing that gets. Let's see, the one thing that people hate about the twin dragon slayers, if you will, or the dragon slayer duo of Sabertooth,
Right.
is that they are very fond of their exceeds.
Too fond, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, yes. I mean, at the very least, we know Natsu would punch happy, which is a bit morbid when you think about it, but still. Natsu would probably, probably fond of happy would not go that fond as those two. And of course, we get Lucy in the person Yukino, and it's like, she actually knows all the answers to a quiz about Sabertooth, and Yukino herself. You gotta think, like, how does that happen?
I kind of felt bad for Yukino in a sense when that happened. I'm like, huh. Like, I laughed at it, and then I was like, well, if there's one thing we found out about Yukino, she's an airhead.
Yeah, so it's even though she might be the Lucy counterpart of Sabertooth, that does not mean she has the same intelligence.
Mm-hmm. I think Lucy even pointed that out too. She's like, how do I know more stuff about your guild than you do?
Yeah, well, it's Sting that points it out, but she says, like, I'm a reporter. And finally, Mareva won a match against Erza by doing an eating contest.
If I remember correctly, didn't Minerva win the last contest?
Well, that was a Sabertooth one, but
that's what I remember. Yeah,
but yeah, well, to be fair, Erza was not in that. And finally, an arm wrestle between Sting and Natsu, which Natsu, of course, wins, but blows up half the guild.
I saw that one coming from a mile away. I was like,
oh, you did say it was a gag. And this is where they also bring in Jellal as well, because it turns out Angels had found some information, or Serrano, if you will. Which, of course, you get the bit of the whole book library thing. Lucy is amazed. Natsu is causing chaos. And we learn that they even have Lucy's book here, but Natsu hasn't read it yet.
Even Lucy's shocked by that, too. She's like, wow, you even have my book here.
Well, they do know you personally.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's also a little funny gag between Gray and Solana about the inappropriate dress code.
I know, he's like, you're dressed like that, and Abby's the one to point out, look at you. It's like, don't tell her anything, you're the one who's always losing clothes like left and right.
But yeah. But no, Natsu got teleported to the basement because just in 5 seconds he already destroyed a few books. Well, drew on them, pretty much.
I know.
So yeah, you get a bit of ship tease here with Jellal and Erza, and perhaps maybe Sting and Yukino.
Yeah. You get a lot of Sting and Yukino stuff in this arc.
Yeah.
A lot.
Let's see, with Angel's trying to flirt with him, but it's like, let's see, oh, is it my sister into? But he says, like, I'm only interested in Natsu. Which probably got a bunch of yaoi shippers happy.
I love how Serrano was kind of like meta commentating like as a shipper. She's like, hey, you two, Erza, Jellal, when are y'all gonna have kids? When are y'all getting together? I'm like, dang. Like, she jumped on that train quick.
But we pretty much, she pretty much learns that about the whole Athena with Rebellious, and that she's joined the Gold Alchemist Guild. And that she's the White Wizard.
A guild full of alchemists.
Yeah, and that she's also a living dirty made of a living doll. Mm-hmm. And that's where we end up learning that, we end up seeing some of the Serrano sisters that were mentioned last arc, as well as the master called Duke Barbara, or Barbaro, or something. Mm-hmm. Or just Guildmaster Duke. So pretty much you have the members of Go, Sabertooth, and Fairy Tail along with Jellal on a quest to try and find this alchemist guild. Mm-hmm. Pretty much they get captured, and they get captured. Let's see, though, granted, so let's see, minus Natsu with the Fairy Tail lot and Jellal, with Erza and Jellal being stuck in a photo prison together.
You had a nice little moment between them. Nice funny moment also.
Yeah.
To say that.
Yeah, with Natsu then just having Sabertooth versus like temporary fairy tale, having them each be their respective counterparts, like Yukino, Lucy, Rogue Grey, Minerva, Erza, and Sting ends up being happy.
He even says I at one point too. I'm like,
And then feels like I can't believe I just did that.
right. I was sitting there reading that chapter, getting to that part, and I'm just like, dang. That's a credibility your word Sting. You're as equivalent.
The others all get captured because they're letting their guard down and searching. Well, Natsu ends up getting the one group that tries to attack him by direct force, which of course is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he ends up Eventually, end up trying to find the others, though granted, thanks to Sting's words, he starts to worry that Lucy might be getting harassed. Granted, that does not turn out to be the case. Instead, she's listening to a very long, the one that captured her sandwich moans, if you will. That's the best way I could describe it. So we pretty much had moments like that. And then, of course, you eventually get into, like, two sort of separate fights. Or like three separate fights with Natsu, Sting, Rogue, Lucy, and Yukino versus Athena the White Wizard, Rogue Grey versus a bunch of the alchemist grunts before fighting like the other two ritzy top guys. What are their names? Genna and Kotetsu, along with that guy from the last arc that has the ability to swap people's bodies.
You talking about Sai?
Yes, Sai.
Yeah.
So once that has happened, you get them sort of fighting. Now, granted, there's a funny moment where Athena recognizes Sting, and he's starting to wonder perhaps he's the most famous dragon slayer in this continent. Only to learn that Natsu is still regarded as the most famous dragon slayer.
He was boasting about that too. He was like, "See, I'm more famous," and then she just immediately recognizes Natsu, and
yeah.
He was like, "I had my moment to shine," and I took it away.
Oh yeah, now Natsu didn't seem to care either way.
Yeah, right.
Which is a bit surprising because normally he's like number one in this kind of thing.
I guess he's starting to mellow out.
Well, I'm pretty sure he still wants to be number one in Fairy Tail.
It is funny though.
Yeah,
I gotta give it that.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Grey's team, the Guild Master Duke pretty much takes he mobilizes them and takes Wendy's and Rogue's Dragon Slayer powers. And this is, of course, to get, like, Athena to, become more complete, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Erza, Minerva, and Jellal end up fighting the Scenario sisters, Luso and Ini, which I believe you had a topic to talk about, though.
I'm more so just marked those down, just so we didn't forget about what their names were. So.
Fair enough, but yeah, they pretty much end up forcing Minerva's group to Elsa's group to retreat, escape. They're lucky for them. One of the sisters just also gave them an exit to let them go.
I know. I think it was Luso that was coming. She's like, "I was having fun. Why did you do that? I was getting bored. Just let him go."
Yeah. So they end up having that bit of a escape thing. Not really winning, but not, I guess, losing either.
Yeah.
You also had that flower guy from Rave Master show up, or at least the design for him.
Oh, God. I don't remember his name.
Nakajimi or something?
Huh?
Is it Nakajimi or something?
I think so. I'm usually on top of Rave.
Sorry,
I think it is Okay, Nakajima, yeah.
Nakajima, yeah, so you get a little bit that there. But yeah, they escape. Natsu and Sting eventually lose their powers a bit, but it's not fully absorbed by Athena, so you have Lucy and Yukino teaming up. Granted, there's a little bit where they're in illusions, where they think their bodies all their clothing has been burned off, unfortunately.
But it was an illusion.
Yeah.
Because at first, when I got to that part, I was like, oh boy. I was like, it's been a while since we've seen a fight where they've lost all their clothes, but...
Well, Lucy, it was pretty much her last big fight.
Mm-hmm.
against that cut dragon lady. But yeah, it was an illusion. Though, granted, you still saw the fan service. But yeah, the one funny moment I will definitely say for that arc is Lucy and Yukino. Yukino seeing Lucy using the cross-dress form thing, and she does it with her own two celestial mage, celestial keys. Well, granted, she can't combine them together, but she can do them quite ritzy. But she can do them separately, and it sort of annoys Lucy because it's like it took her an entire year just to do it.
Yeah, like I thought it was really cool that Yukino could do that too. I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty neat. And but it did lead to a funny moment with Lucy complaining, like what? It took me almost like a whole year to get used to that.
If I had to guess, it's just that Chiro just wanted to show what those two Celestial Spirits costumes would look like.
Yeah, and I mean, it was cool seeing Lucy and Yukino team up.
Yeah,
like an actual fight. So
yeah, because they never really did that. I think in the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, you only had the one instance of them like opening the gate. Not opening, I think it was just closing the gates. The Eclipse Gate. That was the only thing they did.
So yeah, you had that bit, but I do like at the end, Lucy decides like, okay, Athena wants to learn feelings, so she uses logic about all the irritations she's had in the fight, saying, "You do actually have feelings," which I do like as Athena.
How do you feel about that? Because I know some people felt that was a little anticlimactic, but I mean, was it perfect? I'm not gonna say it was perfect, but I did like it.
I will admit, at first I was annoyed because this felt like a talk no jutsu moment.
It did kind of came off that way initially for me too. I was like, really? I thought we're gonna conclude this.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I do like how Athena does sort of try to process this. Wait, does she have a point? And eventually, of course, she tries to talk to like the guild master, but he pretty much deems her failure. Which, of course, you think that's the end of the White Wizard, but that turns out not really to be the case. What was his name?
Duke.
No, not Duke. Let's see, Elfesaria.
Elfesaria, yeah.
Yeah, he ends up teleporting them all back to the starting point of the 100-year quest. And this is the point where the members of Sabertooth learn about the actual meaning of the quest, really. Or at least details of it. But we end up learning Athena was created by Duke 100 years ago, who was like a disciple of
Elfesaria,
and one that apparently could not do well in magic, but was excelled in alchemy. I suppose one thing we haven't really talked about is the alchemist thing. It's about the difference, apparently, from my understanding, is magic is comes from within, but the alchemy in fairy tale is kind of similar to Full Metal Alchemist, where it's something must be equally exchanged, right?
Yeah, I think that's just alchemy in general.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because with alchemy, in order to perform something, there has to be some kind of cost to it, also.
Yeah, which is often what you see in RPG games.
Mm-hmm.
Look, granted, you probably need a bit more materials to create something stronger, but yeah. Yeah, you got the alchemy is like that, and we learned that Duke Fritzy was Elsavia's former student. Before that, we do have, unfortunately, him being a bit of a pervy old guy by going inside Yukino this time. Which you get a very similar scene with Natsu and Lucy, but this time with Sting and Yukino.
Parallels much, guys?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Sting and Yukino are the Nalu equivalent of Sabertooth.
I know. As soon as Sting did that, I was like, we have Nalu and we have. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. What would be the ship name for Sting and Yukino?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, sorry, it's Stingu.
Okay, well, who knows? Maybe we'll find out by the end of 100-year quest, those two are endgame, but let's see. We'll have to wait and see on that part. But we pretty much learned that Duke Ritzy created Athena for Elvarez, and she was effective at slaying dragons, but she also, being a doll, let's see, or pretty much like an android, if you will, pretty much, lacked a sort of understanding of human emotions and and the value of human life. So I'm destroying quite a few casualties. And before Elvarez can get her, let's see, modified and programmed again, we learn that Duke actually passed away. So the one that's currently being called Duke is not the actual Duke, but in fact a being formed up from the Golden Dragon.
From Viernes.
Yeah, Viernes. So we learn that Viernes is pretty much the alchemist guild. And that the majority of them are all...
That was actually a really nice twist, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I was wondering how on earth this alchemist guild was going to fit into the whole dragon god thing, and then, okay, there it goes. There's a tie-in. Because I thought, okay, it's perhaps we're going to have one arc without the dragon gods, but nope, we got it here. But yeah. So we've got that, and there is a bit of confusing about, okay, how is he enough the guild and all that stuff. The explanation about Athena, apparently an illusion created by alchemy. Let's see, no, it's his will. They all get confused by that. But yeah, so everyone pretty much in that guild is a creation of the Golden Dragon, pretty much. Minus, I guess, Athena. Oh, and we also get an explanation about God Serena. He's a doll that's being reanimated using whatever remained of, God Serena.
As far as the whole thing with God Serena goes, is that the best way that they were able to bring him back? I mean, I guess it varies on who you talk to, but when you consider the stance that he was, killed off by Acnologia, and you have to think, okay, so how exactly did he survive that? Him being brought back as a doll does make sense when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, he's probably just been... Let's see, the only reason his Dragon Slayer power isn't being used is because he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's still willing to work with them all, and even acknowledges that everyone in the guild's stronger than him, at least the sisters, the guild master, and Athena. But yeah, you pretty much have them as the strongest, but yeah. And he's fine with it, and besides, I think most people are just happy that God Serena has a second chance of being a bad guy. Or being, a credible threat. Though granted, Natsu just thinks we just gotta take him down, but he seems to have not been completely oblivious that in order to take down Viernes, they need to create a Philosopher's Stone, which hasn't really ever been created, and the one person likely to do that is dead. So, yeah. So,
that's where the Sabertooth members come into play.
But yeah, and that's where they go on Earth to search for the whole stone. And unfortunately, but granted, the fairy tale mages need to get Wendy back because her enchantment magic can disattach Viernes from the guild and back into the gold body, whatever the alchemy stone creates from. They have that. They also have Athena smiling because showing Alvarez that she's actually starting to see emotions. We also learned that when he sealed her, she escaped. Ritzy unintentionally found her own cult and then rejoined the Alchemist Guild to try and become more complete, but then they double-crossed her. This is where you, of course, end up getting back, where they end up fighting the Alchemist Guild. We get the whole thing about alchemy being stronger than magic, though granted, whenever there's a different power source than magic, it always ends up losing in the end.
It's a nice contrast, I'll say. If you brought it in that perspective, you would think, okay, well, logically, the interpretation a lot of people have is that, well, okay, alchemy supersedes magic. But I guess here I wanted to showcase that, that's not always the case. Of, in most fiction, it's alchemy always supersedes magic. But what if we had it the other way around? So it's a concept that I think got flipped on its head, for sure. And personally, I don't think it was done poorly.
Okay.
Perfect, probably not, but I think it works out. I mean, what about you? What's your stance on it?
What, the alchemy?
Mhm.
It's fine, but I do wonder if we probably should have had another arc or two to explain it a bit better.
I think giving it like another arc or two could have like fleshed out the concept of it.
I will say this: the biggest. Let's see. I will say this: with these the Diablo slot, you've actually had a few more arcs to spend time with them before. Let's see, you finally have that final clash. But Diablo. Let's see, but the Alchemist Guild, you only had like one of its more lesser characters as an antagonist in the last one. And I guess God Serena, but he was a wizard, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't really get the whole let's see, alchemy stuff from that.
It is what it is.
Yeah, of course you eventually get the fight separated where it's Natsu versus let's see, Duke and the second Athena that's been created by Duke to be more perfect and less human emotions. Lucy and Gray versus the two guys from earlier, the one with the smoke one and the one that has
You're talking about Sai?
no, not Sai, the other one. The other two.
Let's see, you had Kotetsu and then you had Gane.
Oh yeah. So yeah. We pretty much had the smoke guy and that guy and Sai end up fighting Gray and
the whole body switching thing, yeah.
Yeah, let's see, this time with people they hate. Gray, of course, it's obviously Natsu, but for Lucy, well, she doesn't really hate anyone, but she does have someone that she calls a rival, which is Brandish. But unfortunately for her, it was the rather poor timing as Brandish was doing some modeling, and now that she got Lucy's body, she could end up doing what she would like with it. She ends up discreetly crashing all three of them due to like using Brandish's big size, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Natsu struggles against the second Athena, but once Gray, I guess, Gray and Lucy take out like their opponents. Let's see, you get like what outfit Lucy ended up being worn under Brandish. You had Erza versus the twins.
To be fair, Brandish was being a bit devious when she found out.
Yeah, we know that
she was like, oh,
yeah,
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, we knew what she was going to do, but yeah. Then we have Erza versus the twins, but to be honest, or the sisters. But to be honest, I found this one to be kind of the weakest of the four fights, if you will.
The Signaria sisters, right?
Yeah, Erza versus those two.
I definitely felt like it was the weakest one out of the ones that we had.
Yeah, it looked like she went too fast against someone that could create anything in her world, but ends up destroying all of it before she can create more. So she beats her quite quickly, and it feels like, okay, someone that can create in her world, it feels like that went by way too easy just for simple slashing. And then the other one was pretty much similar to like her sort of armor transformation, but she ends up beating that after a little bit of a debate about peace and like friends and guild, if you will. Which, okay, cool finding powers with Erza, but it's like it went by a bit too quick again.
Yeah, Erza's fight for sure is something I will say. As at least this fight in particular, because her fights in 100 Quest, I will say, haven't been that bad.
I guess she doesn't feel as invincible all the time, but this is pretty much feels like the closest it has been.
Yeah, this is the only fight I will say that's felt that way.
The biggest interesting fight was Jellal against God Serena, where we end up learning Jellal actually was named Springgun originally.
Oh, Seagreen? Yeah. As soon as that flashback hit with Jellal, I was like, oh, okay. So Seagreen wasn't just a cover-up name. That was the actual name he did have.
Yeah, it's and the actual persona of the person he kind of wished he was, to be honest. We learned that Springgun is his, real name, and not and Jellal's is actually a fake one. He doesn't feel worthy of it. And we also learned that Erza pretty much looks like Jellal's mother pretty much looks kind of like Erza.
Where have I seen that before?
I mean, normally it's a golden rule that whenever you have like let's see, ships. One of the reasons for those ships, arguably, is that in terms of physical appearances, that they sort of resemble like a very close family member, usually like the mother, or at least in terms of like looks or personality.
Let me think. You have Masaki and Orihime being very similar. Oh, actually, with that, you kind of get that with the final arc. So where we started learning more about that, but yeah,
The only thing we now have to wait and see is if that Oda ever decides to do a show on Luffy's mother. We learn whether or not she's like Nami or not.
I feel like we're gonna get something regarding Luffy's mom in the future. I do feel like that.
You know, this stated no, it's not really important and goes about how mothers are the death of adventure, but that's more of just an Oda issue, I think. But if he does, I'll be very surprised.
I feel like Oda's very cheeky when it comes to how he portrays things. This is just me, because half the stuff he says, he kind of ends up going around that. It does make me wonder. I mean, look, cause you and I both know Luffy and Dragon are eventually going to have that father-son meetup. I said you and I both know Luffy and Dragon are going to have that eventual meetup.
Oh, yeah. Just not on Egghead.
Although, I will say, don't keep your expectations super high up because, I've seen what that's done in many other series, so...
Well, to be fair, One Piece hypes up its manga stuff more than any other, and usually, for the most part, delivers.
It does deliver on that, for sure.
But that's because Oda's arguably one of the better long-term planners.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much, going back to topic, we pretty much learn, like, let's see, Springen or Jellal's wish. Let's see, yeah. That to be like the reason he wanted to be a magic council in the first place was to help out his mom. And when he lost,
like what's always said, people, the road to hell usually is paved with good intentions, and you know I can't say that for Jellal even early on because he got manipulated into doing what he was doing. So that's not entirely his fault, per se.
Yeah, but of course he feels Erza a light and eventually defeats God Serena. Which we finally do get to see all of God Serena's dragon slaying abilities.
And I will say this, Jellal versus God Serena, especially for this arc, I'll say it's one of the better fights in this arc, for sure.
I will admit, when I first read it bi-weekly, I thought it was going by too fast, but I will admit, it is, once you reread it kind of bit, it does feel a bit
better. It is, yeah, like, and that's kind of a case with like manga in general. Sometimes when you read it week to week, it's like you kind of wonder if the pacing feels right, but then once you like read them in like a bulk, it does feel different.
But yeah, well, granted, I do think the logic of like, oh, I have 7 shining stars, oh, I have 8 dragon slayer things, oh, I have 9 Orions kind of thing. I felt like that was just kind of a bit of a, how should I put it?
A bit much?
Yeah, or at least a bit tacky, I guess. But granted, from my understanding, he got power boost, I think, from like Yukino and Marineva or something.
Yeah, that's where he got it from.
So I guess I could sort of believe it, and I suppose it would make sense that God Serena would be taken down by someone that was once a member of the 10 Wizard Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that bit there.
So let me ask you this, Blue. How do you feel about the way God Serena was dealt? Because this is now like his like definitive end. There's no getting one shot. Okay, the Agnologia one I can understand, but there's no one shot, say, by Gildas. This time you actually got to see him have a proper fight. Twice, actually. One against Gajo and one against Jellal now.
Well, I think it went by a bit too fast again, and you don't really get much of like God Serena's character except for maybe like some goofy poses. But I guess that's just.
To be fair, he's always had that though.
Yeah, but it seems like that's just a thing for him. But at the very least, I will admit he at least got some credit back after taking down Gajo, and the only reason Gajo was able to find the last Earth Dragon stone things was because he managed to swipe him from after defeating the fight. And so I do like, let's see, he's pretty much defeated Gajo, but then of course, someone that's actually an S-Clank. Well, granted, he was a bit worried since he wasn't sure that Erza's Mega Evolution would be in that. I do admit, it does feel a bit weird, Ritzy, when you have, like, God Serena, despite the fact that he had 8 Dragon Slayer magics, lost to Agnologia, and then, of course, you had the 7 Dragon Slayers defeat Agnologia, so 1 less dragon. But then, of course, you've got, like, sort of similar with, like, Jellal and God Serena. I'll admit, let's see. Well, perhaps the 9-bit was a bit tacky. I do like how this is at this point, Jellal has finally decided he wants to become a member of Fairy Tail. Because that was teased for a bit now, and now it's actually happening. Or at least it's about to happen.
And I mean, see, here's the big thing with that is that, like, it's not like Jallal's been on this redemption journey, like, since the end of Fairy Tail. He's been, like, on this thing since, like, post Tower of Heaven. No, not even post Tower of Heaven. Technically post the Erasure on Sace arc. So, this whole path he's been on, it's been, like, a long time coming for Jellal. And you've seen it throughout the whole story up to now. So him coming to that conclusion of, wanting to be a part of the guild, I thought was nice. But I mean, how did you feel?
Yeah, I thought, okay, since you teased that with Erza for so long, might as well. And then it's a way, it sort of fills the role that Mitsugan used to have for Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
Officially now.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, and it's arguably when he joins, I can finally complete the whole Erza Jellal romance plot line, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with that. So arguably that's what made that fight arguably the best. Though, granted, once all the fights happen, it appears that Natsu lost against Athena 2 and Duke.
That was, oh my god, that was insane because. So that chapter came out the same week where Shiki lost against Lightning Law in Eden Zero. And
against who?
Lightning Law in Eden Zero.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that one.
And then it's also when Yagato was, like, imprisoned by Lilith in Dead Rock. So I don't know what hero was on when those chapters came out. I think he was probably just on that. How do I torture my main protagonists? You know what? Let me just showcase them all, just being in the worst state that they could possibly be.
Yeah, and for those that were probably a bit upset with God Serena's defeat, I guess. I'm not sure if there's any people with the defeat, but it's like, okay, he's finally being properly defeated this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're finally being defeated, so he's being defeated. It might have been, granted, he was never going to be like the main antagonist of an arc, to be fair, so it was always going to be more of a Blackie's defeat, really.
Yeah.
But it was defeated by a former Wizard Saint, so that's fine.
It makes sense.
Now that he's defeated, it's like, okay, all the big bad guys are now being defeated, but now, let's see, the bad guy is here and he's defeated Natsu, and apparently he's lost his Fire Dragon Slayer magic. I thought, okay, that was pretty good. But then, of course, Natsu revealed to actually still have his Lightning Dragon thing and starts doing Lightning Dragon.
How do you feel about that? Because I remember a lot of people were mixed about it. They're like,
I'm not against the concept. My problem is that he ended up winning the fight too quickly.
I do agree with you on that. It did end. Because while it was cool to see in that moment, it's like, oh, shoot. Okay, so Natsu still has some juice left within them. And what I thought was going to happen was that I thought at least 2 chapters we were going to be on that fight.
Yeah. I mean, okay, you do have Athena assisting him in the fight by taking on the second Athena, who is a black, emotionless robot, pretty much.
Yeah.
Everything that the Viernes Duke wants, as apparently his goal is to wipe out all dragons but him. Mm-hmm. So he can sort of, I guess, was it rule the earth or something? Or
something along those lines.
I don't know, I can't remember. I do know that the Sonority Sisters talk about peace for humans or something, but I was like, not for the don't get away with harming my friends, but yeah. But yeah, it was taken too badly. In many ways, it kind of reminds me of like a whole Sting Rogue thing, where it's like, you have them fighting Natsu by himself. Okay, kind of cool, but biggest problem is, he's fighting them in his base form, and then in like Dragon Force, which that big deal was we were told is like the ultimate form of the Dragon Slayers.
Yeah.
And at the very least, that's when he probably should have used his fire lightning mode. At the very least, you can at least say, even if you think that Natsu beating them both by themselves was perhaps a bit much, you can at least say, okay, he had this fire lightning mode. But here, it's like, okay, you're using lightning mode for the first time by yourself. Never really tried it. I mean, granted, he should have enough knowledge because he's used it with his fire thing.
And he's fought Loxus like multiple times.
So yeah, I don't blame him for not knowing it quickly. My biggest issue is the fact that it's too quickly in this fight, and you're just having him easily beat, like arguably the guild master.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I have to bring up like weak points with the arc, I'll definitely say just this fight in particular.
Arguably the two weakest moments of this arc is Erza beating the sisters quickly, and Natsu beating the guild master quickly. In many ways, it feels like some of the worst, biggest problems that you had with the fairy tale in its later half, where it seems like most of the bad guys got beaten just because of the power of friendship. But arguably, the bad guild has been defeated, and at this point, let's see. You have like Yukino, Sting, and Nerva going all to the other's guilds. One of them being completely destroyed after they try to have some pervy moments with Minerva, which was a mistake. But then eventually we see one of those guild masters, listening in and revealed that, there's a particular alchemist that looks like him, but apparently the father and son. But then it's revealed to be actually the real Duke, who did not actually die, and he created the Philosopher's Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, granted, I feel like that didn't really lead to anywhere about Duke being alive.
Honestly, you had the funniest Sting and Yukino moments throughout that entire thing, because Yukino was like being super cheerful about like the whole transformations. She's like, good, marvelous, and Sting was like looking at her like, no, it's not good at all.
And then she just getting excited whenever Sting seems to be acknowledged.
Right.
It's like she's like, oh, my boyfriend is. Look at look how popular my boyfriend is.
Did you say that?
Well, no, that's just what the vibes it's giving me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely had those vibes. Hero definitely not being super subtle about singing Yukino. I'll say that much.
Yeah. So you eventually get the Philosopher's Stone created, though Athena needs to sacrifice herself in order to bring back Viernes.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy feels against this because, well, she's pretty much bonded with Athena, but she's content with it. She believes that is always her purpose for this moment, and she can entrust it to like the fairy tale wizards, particularly Natsu, who goes straight in to fight him. The others want to help out or give Natsu their magic, but he's like, no, and they're like, oh, are you kidding me?
Still end up giving him the magic anyway, so.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we gotta do it by force.
It, again, very reminiscent to Agnologia versus Natsu.
Yeah. I'm not though, granted, I don't know how people reacted to this. I don't know if they felt like it was too...
Yeah, I don't know. This is the one part about this arc I didn't actually gauge the fan base on how they felt about it.
At the very least, I know that, at the very least for me, at least I'm glad it was actually a full-on fight. You had 3 chapters, at least.
Yeah.
You got to see Viernes do all of his magic powers, like gold blasts that could turn... Anything he touches turns to gold. Coin attacks, all kinds of gold stuff.
He had a very Egyptian-looking design to him, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much of Egypt's old pharaoh stuff was associated with gold.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if the pharaoh's tombs would be filled with gold, so I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or whatever treasures Egypt had at the time. So I guess props. So I guess that would probably make sense at least there.
I mean, a lot of my Egypt knowledge just stems from Yu-Gi-Oh. I'll be honest.
Okay, fair enough. But I will be honest. yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty much probably the closest you get for our generation being interested in that, unless they've delved into more mythology stuff or Rick Ryden's.
Well, yeah, and the Egyptian trilogy too that Rick did. There's that also.
There was also the House of Anubis for me, but that was more of a school mystery thing.
Yeah.
Let's see, but I'm not sure if you know about that, but yeah.
I've heard about it.
But yeah. I do wonder if the reasoning of Natsu having everyone's magic to defeat it. I don't know, I'm wondering if it felt a bit too small because of just the cast that was there.
You're not the only one who's thought that. I've kind of wondered too.
I mean, when it was like with Acnologia, I think you had everyone doing it, even like the 7 Dragon Slayers. I mean, granted, there was still some bits of anticlimactic, but I guess you could kind of see the logic behind it. But here, it doesn't really feel a full-on boost. It makes me partly wonder if, like, let's see, granted, I think there was a golden blast and that's went inside it, with Happy thinking, like, that would go, making golden flames, and I guess we had Jellal thinking of Dragon Force. But we didn't really actually see Natsu use Dragon Force here.
No, we didn't.
I feel like maybe if I'm not against the fight's pace itself. I thought, okay, we got 3 chapters, that seems fair. Maybe a 4th one. Maybe a 4th one at best. But I think, like, for this one, if Natsu had used Dragon Force when getting everyone's magic, I think that would have been a bit more believable. It's definitely, in terms of all the sort of power-ups you get in Shonen series, that seems to be used the least with Natsu. When it feels like that Hiro should try and find more ways of it being used to explain why he wins. Because one of the biggest problems is when Natsu wins in his base form, people think it's like too OP. When we know that he has other transformations,
especially post Tenro Island.
Yes, like yeah, especially like that because it's like we know he has transformations, and yet he always ends up.
I'll not say this. Natsu's fight after the Grand Magic Games have gotten better. I'll give Hiro that.
But yeah. It's like, because it's like when Hiro, you introduce the concept of a, power-up transformation, which there's some upsides and downsides, but when you sort of introduce it, they're always expecting to see it come in to, like, at some point beat a powerful bad guy. And for the longest time, he didn't really use it. He used it against the Water Dragon God, but then it was not used for a while.
Yeah.
And this feels like this is the best opportunity to bring it back.
Without a doubt.
So we had that. And then, let's see. And the other issue I would say this arc is the fact that Athena ends up just going into the other Athena 2's body.
I was going to bring that up, actually, is that, like, at the very end of it, is, like, Athena does, like, come back as, like, into, like, the other model of what her body was. Which, if you want my opinion on it, I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I can see why she's back, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it does take away from that moment that she had.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. Like, how do you feel about that?
It's like it seems that it's another issue with, like, Hiro's writing when it comes to deaths. Mm-hmm. He has a death moment happen. You feel the emotions and all that stuff, but then the following 3 chapters, he takes it away and says, "Oh wait, no, the character's fine." And that was, like, arguably the most frustrating part of the Fairy Tail War arc. Where
no. Like, because here's the thing. I know people would talk about that in Tartarus, but no, like, if we're comparing Tartarus to the Alvarez War, dude, the Alvarez War was rough. I remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The Tartarus arc, there was some frustrating bits, particularly the Afro Happy situation. Mm-hmm. That felt like it's killed off the suspense of the arc.
It's just, you're not wrong. I do get where you're coming from on that.
It's because, like, you had the one antagonist that killed the entire Magic Council get beat up easily by Natsu and Lucy, and then he blows himself up, and then Happy just tries to sacrifice himself, only to, like, not be scathed from it, except having an afro. Some people, it was like the Pell stuff. It was the Pell situation.
Oh, God bless Pell for surviving a nuke.
Yeah. Well, bomb, but yeah. Look, granted, I have a feeling the live-action version is not going to make it out.
I'm gonna say that if he makes it out in the live action version, I'm gonna be like, okay, it's confirmed. Oda is attached to Pell.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you better have a main reason to have him back here. It better not just because you don't like killing off characters.
We know that's not true, Oda. You killed off Ace and Whitebeard and Pedro.
But yeah, that is arguably the other issue. I mean, okay, granted, okay, she's with Elfarvis now.
Mysteria.
Yeah, Philzeria feels like her original, let's see, owner, I guess you could say. Where she gets to live as a human, or try to live as a human. Yeah, but that's pretty much that. I mean, granted, there's a funny moment with the Sabertooth members with like taking all the golden remains of the gold dragon because it's like, oh, we didn't get
that was hysterical. I'm not gonna lie. What is it? We're gonna be so filthy rich. I'm like, dang, y'all are greedy.
Yeah, I suppose I can't blame them for this on this aspect though.
Yeah.
No, granted, I'm surprised that none of the members of Team Natsu tried to take some gold for themselves.
Especially Lucy. You would think she'd be like, I need some of that for my
rent. Oh yeah, especially since I'm going to be away for so long.
Right.
But yeah, well, granted, Frosh he seems to find it tasty, or try to eat it.
Who was it that points out that Frosh? I think it was Yukino, right? Yukino's the one that says that. I don't think you should eat that.
Yeah, I think Carla also made a wisecrack comment about it.
Yeah, she did.
Then, of course, we get that moment. I guess perhaps the big moment of the arc is with the Signario sisters. You ready to talk about that?
Mm-hmm. So, we thought these two characters were part of the Alchemist Guild. And boy, did a hero flip the tables on that, because we come to find out
they're not illusions.
Yeah, they're not illusions. For the number one. Number two, they're with Ignia.
Yeah. And let's see, and apparently it's revealed that he's actually in charge of a group called Fire and Flame.
How fitting.
A dark guild, if you will, which it's interesting because we haven't dealt with a dark guild in a very long time.
It's Tartarus.
Yeah, I mean, technically you could argue Avatar, but they didn't view themselves as that.
Oh, freaking Avatar. I forget about Avatar, I'll be honest.
Well, to be fair, they're forgettable because they get all easily beaten up.
You're right. The only noteworthy thing about Avatar was Blue Note. That's the only thing I remember. Well, and then the gray stuff.
Alright.
Admittedly.
But yeah. You've got like but yeah, so they're pretty much it does beg some questions because like Ignia seems to be wiping out humans, but now he seems to have like a bunch of human subordinates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, if I had to guess, his long-term goal was to turn them all into fire dragons.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. But it seems like whatever the case with the Sinago sisters, it seems like whatever the alchemy powers have, that was not really their true strength, and they were actually probably far stronger.
Yeah.
But at the very least, they're staking around, and I suppose it's kind of nice. It is interesting because Hero, for 100-year quests, it has been a bit more recurring with his antagonists, if you will.
He has. And the thing I do appreciate about 100 Quest is that, and he's always kind of been like this too with his storytelling, but each of the dragons have been different. Like, with Viernes being centered around alchemy, with Celine, and then of course, I mean, to be fair, we didn't know really about Dogramag initially, but getting his aspect with his abilities.
Yeah, Labyrinth with like labyrinth creatures, but the answer to that was probably on the subconscious thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, granted, he was in partnership with Ignia. Mm-hmm. Selena, she had those group of girls from like that other reality where magic was overflowing.
Yeah,
as one aspect, as one group of subordinates, and then eventually took over Diablos.
Mm-hmm.
The Water Dragon had no opponents, but you had the trio Diablos members as the opponents for that arc.
Yeah.
And then the Wood Dragon had like 5 separate wood pieces of his own body, serving as his bodyguards, if you will.
Yeah, each of them has been like really, really good, and I'll give Hero credit on that.
Now, Fire Flame. I suppose the main reason this group has been created because it's like it's kind of like we're saying with Zeref, is that okay? You probably need some group organization to fight off all of Natsu's friends, while the big bads take on Natsu. I can definitely see that's the reason why this hero has created Fire and Flame.
Yeah, because I was going to say up until, and this is just me, because I do feel like Ignia, you could parallel him to Zeref in a lot of ways, where a lot of the time when you see Zeref, he's just by himself, right? And it's a very similar case here with Ignia, is that like a lot of the time he's just been alone. So to now finally get his side of the story, and seeing that he does have subordinates. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised that he has subordinates on his side, but just finally delving into that, I thought was
Look, the only question is that they all appear to be humans, and he does not like humans. I mean, granted, it's a way of perhaps making up for the Sonaro sisters from being beaten easily by Erza, because it's like they get a second chance.
But that wasn't their actual like powers, if you will.
Yeah, and let's see, even though they seem to be pretty powerful, because like the youngest one can create sort of alter reality to her world, which that seems like a broken character that can't really be beat. Well, it shouldn't be able to be beaten, but ends up being. But Erza is able to slice enough of them to eventually take on that sister. And the other one, of course, is like armored transformation one, similar to Erza, but Erza kind of takes her out as well, rather quickly. After a little bit of debate on like whole peace thing, but yeah. Well, granted, next time we see them, they'll probably have some sort of fire magic. Because Ignia's apparently created an entire dark guild with fire mages.
You can say that again.
So there is that hope there. But you've pretty much had like Diablos as the recurring bad guys for the first 4 arcs. The little bit of the fake White Witch for the first 2. Then you had like the alchemist being pretty set up just the arc before. And this is how you're doing it with Fire Flame with those 2 sisters. But people that gave Erza and Nisril a hard time for the first round, though we eventually got beaten in the second round. But yeah, but still, it's still there. Now, who they end up fighting against, I'm not sure. It could be that they now end up being Lucy and Wendy's opponents.
That's a possibility.
I guess that's pretty much everything talked about in that arc.
Yeah, we've pretty much tackled everything when it comes to the Gold Owl arc, which now gets us into. I mean, we've talked about our favorite moments too. I'll say for me, the best one was Jellal versus God Serena. That's fine.
Yeah, I'd probably said arguably probably the best fight. A bit of a very big of a character moment for me there. The funniest moment I'd say for me is arguably Natsu with like Sabertooth.
Yes. They're just pretty funny. The Yukino and Lucy dynamic with the dress would be funny too.
Favorite Lucy moment, I guess, turning into Brandish, though. The fan said
that was pretty brief, though. So
yeah. So I was saying that was just the funniest moment there.
Like, if I'm comparing like the big moment Lucy had in the Labyrinth arc when she used
let's see, the sort of magic form, Star Dress, Gemini, Aquaria form.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
If I'm comparing it to that, obviously, like, she didn't really have a lot with this one.
Yeah, she didn't really defeat. Okay, actually, she did defeat opponents in this one, though. Yeah, I think that was one thing like that could go well. That went well. Erza, I guess, her moments with Jellal, I guess, that are probably the best bits. Being teased about a couple. And Gray...
I think Gray had a lot.
No, not really. Like, I did like how he ended up just being horrified at being Natsu.
That was funny.
It was like his worst nightmare came to life or something.
Could you imagine if you remained as Natsu the whole time and he ran into Juvia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose my favourite villain moment was when Duke held Natsu. I mean, granted, that suspense and tension didn't last long, but for that moment, it was a pretty
Yeah,
good.
like because it was bi-weekly. Like I remember reading that chapter and just being like, "Shh." I'm like, guys, I don't know.
But yeah, but let's see.
Because it's very rare when you see Natsu getting like beaten like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like again, take it like this: when he showed up at the Tartarus headquarters and Silver basically one-shotted him, like that set the stage for something. But yeah, no, like that was a good moment.
Yeah.
When Duke held Natsu up like that.
Now, moments that could have been improved. Is that what we're going to talk about now?
Yeah, well, I think we've already talked about that. I do feel like,
I say,
like I said, the big one was the lightning move that Natsu had. For
oh
sure.
yeah, yeah. The other thing I would say is perhaps maybe Sabertooth could have gone on perhaps another fight where they win something,
Yes.
because I felt like they never really defeated an opponent in this arc.
No, they didn't.
Okay, you technically had Rogue beating up all those alchemist grunts,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you have Nerva taking down another alchemist guild, but never really a serious opponent. I mean, they took part in fights, but and you get like Yukino, particularly with the star dress thing, but they never actually defeated anyone.
Another part where it could have improved, I would have given Gray something. I mean, yeah, he did technically. He won the fight he was in technically, but give him like a big moment somewhere where Lucy had in the last arc.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, arguably, let's see, probably should have had maybe some sort of history with that dude that can transform you into whoever you love or hate.
Mm-hmm.
Since I guess you could say that was sort of built up a little bit.
Yeah.
What else is there?
How do you feel about Viernes, like in general? Not in terms of like as an opponent, but just as a character.
Well, I felt like since he only really appeared at the end, there wasn't much you can get of what his character was like.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very, I mean, you could argue that Duke was pretty much Ritzy was Viernes or something, but
Yeah.
never really.
You could make an argument about that.
But yeah, but I think one thing is like a bit more details on why he wants to do what he does. I mean, we got Serene's reasons, we got Machano's reasons for what he does, and we even got like the Wood Dragon God's reasons that he wants to destroy all humankind and all that. And we even starting to get an idea of what Ignia's reasons are, but I think Viernes is the one that seems a bit the most blank.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I thought he was going to be the last dragon that they took down, but turns out that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought it was kind of being built up as like.
I kind of felt like with the whole thing about Ignia being related to Ignia, of course, him having that connection to Natsu, part of me kind of had a suspicion that, like, okay, he might be the final dragon that they have to take down. So
Yeah, I thought it was either going to be him or Viernes, I guess.
Mhm.
Because it might have been like it's him being a mystery, and the others don't. Even the other dragon gods don't know him. Made me wonder if he was going to be possibly the strongest, since he was like metal or gold dragon or something.
Mhm.
And just because of like society and cultural status of gold. But no, it seems Hero's doing like the fire dragon, is at least in terms of the more personal drama. Though, granted, I'm still wondering if there's going to be like a seventh dragon god to do that one last bit of the day of like that sort of Japanese week that all the dragon gods have been based off of.
You never know. That could be a possibility.
I mean, the only thing that because I think the last one is Sun. The last one he hasn't really tackled is, I believe, the Sun.
The sun, yeah.
Which I could see possibly maybe happening just on the grounds of like what's stronger than fire? The power of the sun itself.
Yeah, like that's what I did. That is something I thought about for a while. I was like, okay, well, what if you do defeat all 5 of the dragon gods, or 6 in this case because of Dogramag? I don't see. Because here's the thing, I don't believe defeating the 5 dragon gods is just going to lead to like something good.
Yeah,
I feel like there's going to be something else just to
yeah, something else that comes along afterwards, and it feels like with here we just do like 6 arcs. Let's see, like that.
Mm-hmm.
But with like sun god, but with like a sun dragon god, you then get like a 7th final arc, if you will.
You never know.
Now, granted, it could be maybe a combination of all the dragon gods, or just who knows, or maybe something somehow, or maybe something like I don't know, Igneal's father, or I don't know, Igneal's grandson, maybe. But I don't know. But yeah, but at the moment, let's see, you're going to get like Ignea's the next one, which I suppose. Let's see, we've done all of what we could have improved for stuff.
Technically, this is going to be the rankings list now when it comes to 100-Year Quest. So, keep this in mind, guys. We've had the Water Dragon God arc, we've had the Wood Dragon God arc, Moon Dragon arc, the Great Labyrinth arc, and now the Gold Owl.
I think the Wood Dragon arc is still probably my favorite.
I would say that too. Like, I did think for a while maybe the Gold Owl arc could top that. It did have that potential for sure, but
It kind of felt like it squandered in a few places.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I'll probably put maybe the Water Dragon arc next. Let's see, and then I guess
I think the Labyrinth arc might be number 2 for me.
Yeah, I think I'll then do the Labyrinth arc as the final confrontation with Diablos, and then like Ignea versus Selene, then the 6th dragon. But mainly because I think the Water Dragon God arc brought back like that one group. Let's see, Diablos is the one group that first defeated Natsu in such a long time.
That's fair. I mean, your ranking is not that different from mine because I put Wood Dragon arc first, Great Labyrinth arc second. Wood Dragon would be 3. So realistically, if I'm really talking about it, those 2 arcs are like interchangeable for me between Wood Dragon and Great Labyrinth. Which then brings us down to these 2 arcs, Gold Owl and Moon Dragon God arc.
I think I'll put the Gold Dragon over the Moon Dragon, since the Moon Dragon didn't really get defeated in that arc. Even though you had Team Natsu lost something, they ended up, I think, just fighting a giant monster at the end. Which I think felt kind of a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, the Moon Dragon God arc did bring back the whole concept with the face with the hands, if you will. That was pretty neat. Moon Dragon God arc would be like at the bottom, with Gold Owl just being just a little bit slightly above it.
So yeah, that's arguably how I will let's see. So that's arguably how I rank the sort of 5 arcs we've had so far.
Is it 5? Oh yeah, right. It is 5.
Yeah. Water Dragon God arc, Wood Dragon, Moon Dragon, Great Labyrinth, and Gold Owl.
Gold Owl, yeah. So again, just a brief reminder in case anyone didn't catch that. So for me, it would be the Wood Dragon God arc being first, Great Labyrinth arc being second, Water Dragon being third, Gold Owl being fourth, and Moon Dragon being fifth.
That's arguably how I would rank them.
Which now gets us to the final bit of the podcast, and we can be kind of brief about this. Thoughts on the story currently. So, for anyone who doesn't know, or one you should know at this point, we are on the Fire Dragon God arc currently.
Yeah.
And Hero mentioned something that I thought was interesting.
Okay, I have not heard this.
He mentioned that this arc that we're currently on, the Fire Dragon God arc, was going to be serious. So...
Okay.
It has me curious as to what he means by that.
I wonder if that means we're going to actually see some casualties or something.
And keep this in mind, guys. The last time we've had casualties in Fairy Tail, we're being technical here, was Tartarus.
You mean with the dragons, but even though they're all technically already dead?
Yeah. Biggest one being Igneal.
Yeah. I guess you could also count the Magic Council, but they rarely showed up.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we get at least 2 filler chapters.
Yeah, we get one on Cobra. Cobra's was the most confusing, I will say. Having him read everyone's mind process.
Yeah, well, we learned that he's now engaged to let's see, Christina, who is or Christina or something, who was like his former snake. But
Kiana,
that was always more of a background plotline in data books and filler arcs, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That actually tackled it. But now it seems like he's engaged to her, and she's trying to get him to join the guild. So he goes in and reads people's minds.
No, if I remember correctly, I think in the final chapter she did mention that like her boyfriend was Eric. So
Okay.
I think it was brought up there because I know Cobra's real name was actually Eric.
Seems like Kira's just doing a sort of nod to like all the sort of outside some material talking about it here.
Yeah.
Let's see. You get of course Cobra. Well, his real name is actually Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Reading people's minds, learning some of them are pervy old ritzy people. Some are like obsessed with either booze or like a certain boy. Some of them have rather boring personalities, and others like Wetsy Elfman at least seems
I love Lasana and Mira Jane's thought process. They're like, I don't know what we're gonna eat tonight.
Yeah, and Elfman just being the protective brother.
Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, I don't have to mess with them.
But Laxus is more like I could destroy you in seconds, or like Romeo's like, who's stronger, him or Natsu? And he's like, me. It's just like he sometimes forgets he's reading people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
And two, he actually meets, I believe, it's Warren, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone thinks he's being creepy by looking at Eric, but the two of them are having a sort of fought mind out kind of thing. And he's like, and unfortunately for Eric, his mind reading abilities makes him pretty much open to Warren's telepathy. So he can learn all his secrets, including what he does with
It's Kanata.
Yeah, Kanata. So apparently he can read all the stuff he likes to do with Kanata, and that sort of puts him off of joining the guild. Now, to be honest,
I was fine with almost everybody in this guild except for that one guy.
Yeah, at least annoyed or okay, but it's like, okay, no, I can't join. But to be honest, if the fact that they've got if he's a mind reader, probably for the best for the guild. I think if people could read their minds, people read their minds. It means that whatever dark thoughts you might have, even if you don't really mean them, someone's gonna know what they are. It's like whatever kind of mind.
He's talking about you guys.
Yeah, whatever dark secrets or whatever secrets you have or whatever thought, even if you might not actually mean it, it's going to be exposed.
Yep.
Or someone will know what you actually think.
There's no getting around that one.
And that's all kinds of trouble. Mm-hmm. Which, to be honest, I'm surprised no one has ever made a story idea of like a tribe or a family that could read minds. And once that was discovered, they get wiped out, but only one survivor's left.
That's an interesting premise, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's like, I'm surprised no one has actually done that kind of concept yet.
You've just given me a new idea, Blue.
Okay. Well, if you ever do become a famous writer and you write that kind of story, give shout-outs to me for at least that idea.
I will. I'll be like in collaboration with the Cursed One.
No, granted, it's for we know some author might listen to your podcast and steal the idea from it.
Right.
But that's generally the sort of concept I have with like mind readers. Like whatever, if they exist in real life, whatever secrets or whatever thoughts you have that you wanted to keep private or never wanted exposed, they will be exposed. And that's kind of what makes someone like Cobra actually terrifying. Though, granted, lucky for Fairy Tail, you have Warren that can counter it by exposing his thoughts. Now, granted, whether or not Cobra or now Eric could join Fairy Tail in the future, I'm not sure. Though if he does, you will have at least 5 Dragon Slayers. I guess we have to wait and see. We know that Angel or Solano joined Sabertooth because of her sister. Jellal and Meredy are probably going to join Fairy Tail because of like their connection with like Erza and then I guess Juvia and each other.
Well, and also when you really think about it, Crime Store Sierra, like their whole what they've wanted to do throughout Fairy Tail, that's pretty much like been settled.
Yeah. Now for the other remaining members, I'm not sure. They could just live their lives, or they could join a guild. I'm not sure. The funny thing is they end up joining the Magic Council.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, it'd be just as funny as like let's see, Gargil joining, because it's like, no way, people are like, no way Gargil would be a part of the Magic Council. But then it just like, then they got shocked, oh wait, he actually is a member. But yeah, now granted, I assume that the Earth one will probably try and reunite with his brother. How that will play out, I am not entirely sure.
Good question. Real good question right there.
But we'll have to see whether or not that plot line will ever be addressed. Now, granted, the other fillerish kind of chapter you got is that we learn that Ichia and Anna are sort of a thing.
That one kind of threw me off. I was like, really? Ichia and Anna?
I mean, okay, they had some moments together, but I don't think anyone was hoping they'd be seriously shipped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they did have some, like, interactions, like, towards the tail end of Alvarez, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how I felt about that one. I mean, what was your take on Blue?
We kind of got unnecessary fan service of Lucy in a bikini because Ichia just keeps to thinking her that way.
No, even Lucy pointed that out too. She's like, "Why am I in this?"
Then you got like that one scene of like Ichia in a shower.
Oh yeah, no. If you're an Ichia fan, y'all guys had your filling. I'll just say that.
No matter how small of a group you are, though, I'm not sure anyone wants to see Ichia naked.
Especially in that final arc. Jesus Christ.
In many ways, I think most people would be more like the audience when Ichia took out those Quarto puppy tag team.
Right.
Where the audience was like, ah, it's too horrible. I felt sorry for Quarto Cerberus there.
I know, right?
They were just the guild that just gets beat up. Never winning a fight. Just one race.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah, but we learned that he's into her, but he's like, having so many questions like, since she's technically Lucy's ancestor, that means that she already had a child and already was married. And he's just wondering how to ask that, but he ends up, he kind of, sort of like the most cringiest kind of proposal, say, when you want to make a baby with him. But it seems like Anna is into it. We kind of learned that it seems Lucy's ancestor has a type. And it's Ichia-like. Ichia-light. I'm just curious to see how Lucy will react to all this.
For real.
Like, your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, let's see, is marrying Ichia, and your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-or-so grandfather looks like him. You gotta think of like, okay, how are you gonna react to that?
That's gonna be an interesting reaction.
I think she's gonna be mortified. I think Erza's gonna be mortified that someone actually likes.
Like, oh dear lord.
I mean, granted, she already had like a little shiver thing when he said, "Sorry, Erza, I just found a true love," and she's like, granted, I feel like that was a bit of unnecessary fan service there, but I guess okay. Well, if Lucy gets unnecessary fan service, Erza's not far behind. So you kind of got that. And so you get like perhaps the one ship thing people wanted to actually see ends up happening. And to think it happens before Natsu and Lucy get together.
I'm gonna call right now. Shiki and Rebecca are gonna get together before Natsu and Lucy do.
Well, to be fair, Fairy Tales is an ongoing series, longer ongoing series.
Yeah, how does that make you feel, Blue?
Natsu and Lucy are taking forever to get together.
Like, if we get another Heroes crossover story, and this time we actually have, like... Well, I mean, no, it's already confirmed that Haru and Ellie are in a relationship, but, like, say the next time they see each other, Shiki, Rebecca, they're together, they have a kid, Natsu and Lucy are just like, what are we missing since the last time?
I'll get to that later, but at the moment, at the very least, before we know, when the time the next crossover happens, Natsu and Lucy may have become officially a couple.
Right.
But yeah, though granted...
One can hope.
Yeah, though granted, there are some things that probably need to be addressed for the next crossover, because the next arc, when we finally get to it, you have the moment with Erza and Jellal just before parting, and about Jellal saying to let's see, Erza, to put a good word for him to be in Fairy Tale, to be part of Fairy Tale with the master.
This was a nice moment, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, I do like how you got, like, Lucy and Wendy trying to get Natsu away, saying, read the room, kid, guy. Because it goes to show you Natsu's still a bit clueless on romance.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll end up learning that. But as they're doing that, they end up being attacked by this guy that can eat anything, particularly flames. Tries to eat Happy and Carla, resulting in Natsu chasing after, and then being ambushed by a fire illusionist, and then a guy that has the ability to make shift things like Grey, the sort of fire equivalent, but he can't seem to eat or control his flames. So he gets captured, and then the illusionist ends up fighting Grey, Lucy, and Wendy, creating illusions of heroes of a manga, particularly Rave Master with Nijima again, and this time the Jiggly guy.
Griff, yeah.
And surprisingly,
as soon as Griff showed up, I was like, "Oh Lord, I already know where this is going."
Oh yeah, especially since he's going up against Lucy.
I was like, "Oh boy." I'm like, if it's Griff, I'm like, out of all characters, yeah, bring up Griff.
And it's against Lucy.
Honestly, I would have traded in Griff for Ellie. You know how cool that would have been.
Yeah, but that might have been too on the nose, I think. And it seems like, but granted, you think he's doing all the mascots, but then he brings in Hien from Dead Rock against Grey.
You know what's funny? When I read that chapter, I thought about what you said in the stream we did about Hien possibly not being dead. I'm like, well, Blue got his wish. He's alive.
Well, he came back as an illusion in another manga series.
How did that make you feel, honestly?
I mean, I thought, okay, it's a bit too soon to have, like, Dead Rock characters in Fairy Tail, but again, I think he got, like, some of those Eden Zero mascots and other characters as plushies in, like, that illusionist world.
Yeah.
I think I saw Michael in one of those bits.
Mm-hmm.
But you pretty much have got, like, you got, like, Grey fighting seriously against Hien. Let's see, Wendy being freaked out by Nijima's just feathers, if you will.
I don't.
And Lucy's being sexually harassed by Griff. Now, granted, let's see, Hero talks about how his character, like a character like Griff, would not fly an age a day in this manga. But the thing is, Hero, you're still doing the sort of let's see, that kind of thing with Lucy half the time.
That's what I'm laughing about. I'm just like,
okay, you talk about self-awareness, but you still kind of do it. You still haven't really changed not doing it. Lucy just always ends up getting in these uncomfortable fan service moments.
I know.
Which, let's see, honestly, I could do without.
No, again, like if we want to talk about like the heroines, well, let's pretend they're sisters. Ellie's the elder sister. Lucy, unfortunately, is the middle sister who gets all the attention, and then you have Rebecca who loves gaming. I don't blame her.
So yeah, it seems to be kind of like that. Now, granted, I think Lucy is technically canonically older than the other two.
I would not be surprised if that's been actually.
Since Lucy is, I believe, 19 by the end of the story, Ellie, I think, becomes 18 at the epilogue, and Rebecca, I can't tell if she's 17 or 18. I
think she's 18.
Okay, let's see. Okay, possibly 18 at the beginning of like thing. Okay, granted, then became like 20 or 21 in the time skip, and then back to 18. But though, granted, I guess you could say has the mind of a 20-year-old or something.
Yeah, like even though like Shiki and Rebecca, like they did kind of go back to how they were when the manga first started, like their mindset is still how it was before.
Yeah. Though granted, if they are under the age of 18, that's sort of like let's see, some of the sort of fan service stuff is still a bit uncomfortable.
I got you.
But yeah, let's see. It's like I don't mind fan service, though. Granted, I would prefer the characters being over the age of 18.
Yeah.
Let's see. Which leads me to this one thing. Eventually, Happy and Carla, let's see, kick the illusionist that breaks the illusion, and then Grey finish him off with the same ice sword technique here.
I'll give Happy and props for that. I think they deserve that.
But yeah, so you finally got like a happy action moment that sort of works.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Natsu pretty much is like captured and
Yeah,
gone straight to Ignia.
yeah, I did mention that, but yeah. But afterwards, you kind of got Lucy and Wendy. Their clothes kind of burn off from the whole thing.
And Gray's a bit embarrassed by that.
Yeah. Let's see. Look, granted, Wendy is from more covered up than from the behind the things than Lucy, though. Granted, I will admit, Wendy. Whenever it happens to Wendy, it does feel a bit going too far. When rereading the last two arcs, Lucky Chi, I kind of noticed something with Wendy.
What's up?
Well, let's see. There was one bit where she was covered around with plushies, and let's just say a certain plot was covered up, thankfully, but it was with an octopus doll.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I think you and I have read enough anime and manga to kind of get that reference.
Yep.
That I might be overthinking this, but unfortunately, it hasn't. Hero has done it in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it wasn't actually, of course, done, but I feel like it was like I kind of feel like the reference there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but maybe moving on from that. But yeah, eventually, of course, you see Erza's fighting this flame sword knight guy called Wed, who is apparently the strongest swordsman in the continent, and Erza's regarded as the strongest swordsman in her continent. They clash a bit. He wants to fight her in her like less skinship, like let's see, armor, which Erza thinks it's the seduction one, but it's actually like the flaming pants one.
Yeah,
the one that she used to take on 100 monsters in the Grand Magic games, pretty much at the end. Wants to fight her, but then there's Fire Exceed comes in and says that they're preparing for the preparations. And with like the sisters reuniting with Ignia and then the others bringing back Natsu to Ignia, we learn that he wants to redo the Dragon King Festival, if you will, but this time make it as the true one, and offers Natsu to join them as they wipe out humans. But Natsu, of course, then punches him before he could finish, and he decides that, okay, so you're siding with the humans. And decides to take on Natsu. And it seems like that ends the chapter with like Natsu about to fight Ignia in the first round, if you will.
Yep.
Now, I pretty much expect him to lose the first round.
No, I agree. Like it's gonna be cool seeing Natsu take on Ignia, but just like with what happened when he first ran into Silver, granted, we never got a Natsu Silver rematch, but similar to that, I think Natsu's gonna get a beating.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Which I will say I'll probably actually be looking forward to because, well, face it, Zeref and Agnologia. Well, okay, Agnologia defeated the whole group and Tenor and I.
And you know what? On the case of Zeref, he did technically beat Natsu the first time around. In the final arc.
In the final, I don't know. I feel like Happy just dragged him away before that could actually happen.
Yeah.
But I think this time it's guaranteed that the big bad, maybe the big bad, takes down Natsu first time round.
Mm-hmm.
Before then actually fighting.
And again, with Hero's comments being that this is going to be like a very serious arc,
I do wonder if perhaps maybe Natsu might die for a while first before coming back.
I wonder if we're going to, like, again, serious can mean a lot of things. But I wonder if this could be like the equivalent to what we got in Eden Zero with Linder, with when they were, getting to like those big revelations, and of course with Ziggy's defeat,
possibly,
and of course with Elsie and Justice being the two big casualties we got.
Well, and before they got resurrected in the new timeline.
Well, yeah,
but yeah,
there's a lot of ways you can look at that.
So yeah, but pretty much you've got Erza dealing with this swordsman, Lucy Gray and Wendy, along with the Exceeds, now have to try and figure out a way to find rescue Natsu. We're also trying to find some clothes for them, I guess.
Yeah.
So you've kind of, and Natsu's about to fight an Ignis. That's all we've got so far. And also that we know that the Fire and Flame intends to wipe out humans in this new Dragon King festival. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to the fire users that are part of the guild. Perhaps they all tend to become fire dragons. Who knows?
we're in a very interesting place right now. Especially, again, I don't know if this is confirmed to be the final arc of 100-Year Quest, but if that is the case, which again, I don't think it is, because I do feel like we're going to get something revealed after Igni is defeated, because we know that's going to happen. It's just a matter of what gets us there.
Yeah. It's like I said earlier, there might be possibly a sun dragon to deal with.
Do you think this could lead to a return of END in some capacity?
I think it's possible.
Because we know Heroes teased it a little bit back at the end of the Water Dragon God arc, when Natsu lost his, sense.
It might be possible being the thing to, be the only way to defeat Ignia, but it might also be the thing that causes Natsu to maybe lose his humanity or something, and this might get Lucy to try and finally realize her feelings for Natsu or something.
Yeah. I'll say this arc, this Fire Dragon God arc we're in, has the absolute potential right now to supersede the other arcs.
Indeed.
And especially considering how personal it is for Natsu.
Yeah. I mean, because this is pretty much his adoptive brother, pretty much. The biological son of Ignia.
Yeah.
Which arguably is probably the only way you could really top the sort of connection with, either Zareth or even Agnologia of,
Yeah, because I kept thinking, even before 100-Year Quest, even when 100-Year Quest got announced, I was like, what's going to be Natsu's personal stake in all this? Because, he found Ignia, and even though Agnologia wasn't, a super big deal to Natsu at the time, Agnologia was the person that took down Ignia. So that became a personal thing for
him. Okay.
And then, of course, you have Zareth, who was his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And with Hero bringing up Ignia, that automatically just a thing for Natsu. Okay, not only is this guy a fire dragon, he was also connected to Ignia, being, his actual son. Oh yeah, there's also the setup with Lucy and Aquarius.
Oh yeah, we have to, and it was even brought up there. It's I wish I had Aquarius with me because a bunch of fire users and the one celestial spirit that actually is most effective against them is not here.
I think because she brought that up, there's a chance she's gonna find the key.
Yeah. Other than that, I kind of like how Gray's terrified the idea of a multiple Natsus, but Happy's excited at that.
Right.
To be fair, I don't think the guild could handle more than one Natsu.
No, of course not. But, overall, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to this discussion, unless you have anything you want to add.
No, I think this is pretty much, we've covered literally everything this arc has to offer.
Yeah, and if someone wants to ask me what my rating is for the Gold Owl arc, I'll say it's a great arc. I wouldn't say amazing, strictly because, we've already discussed a few of the issues the arc has, but it's still a great arc.
It's a 7 or 8 out of 10 arc, really.
Yeah. Best one still obviously being the Wood Dragon God arc. But with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much it. Blue, it was a lot of fun having you on board again for another Fairy Tale podcast, especially with 100-Year Quest.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
I'm Lucky G7.
I'm BlueStarSaber.
And we will catch you guys next time. Peace.